Good evening and welcome to the We Are Rise show. I'm your host, Brett C. Collins. How you doing out there on this glorious Wednesday? Yes, it's kind of quiet out there today. A lot of great news, a lot of interesting news. The war might be over. I think it's already over. I'll be honest with you. I do. I've said it's like last week I was saying it's already over. It's just like, again, we're playing catch up. It's already been fast forwarded. We're already moving to another stage. Welcome in everybody out there on pill.net, YouTube, and Rumble. Tonight's show, The Glorious Divorce. Yeah, very close to over. Threats or excuses? We'll get into that one. The Bagman. Yeah, that's my nickname for the Pope. Choking for votes. I bet you could figure that one out. What's up, Marshall? Let's welcome my co-host. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Gas is already starting to come down over here. It's like 380. So I mean, it is dropping.
What did it drop, like 20 cents?
Well, 380. No, it was like 415. So it dropped
Right.
good. Pretty good amount.
Yeah, it doesn't really drop over here. I don't know. I mean, at one point, I saw it when before all this started was at the lowest I've seen, especially for premium, because you got to consider premium. I saw it at like what 325, and so that was pretty good. And now it's well over 430, 440. So, yep, that's what it is tonight. Welcome in everybody on pill.net. Hello over there, Wood USA. What's going on? Thank you for the 217 gold pills. Blue Viking, what's up, man? Is anybody out there? Can it be a no? I mean, yeah, it's a quiet night. What's up, Quantum Respawn? Good to see you. Thank you, Trump One. What's up? Thank you for the cookie. How you doing? What's up? I saw Patty B. Trusty Turnip, what's going on? How you doing? What's up? How's everybody doing out there? It's all quiet. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up. Good to see everybody. What's up, Curious Cat? Thank you for the cookie. Who else is here tonight? Yeah, it's all quiet. I see you over here, Razone 93. Hello, fellas. Good evening. If you're on YouTube, we're not monetized over there, so you could just share and subscribe. It's always important. Maybe like it here and there. What's up, Naw Dog? It's not Monday, but we're here. What's up, True Terran? Yeah, greetings. Yeah, greetings to all of you. If you want to help out the show, you know what to do. You can help out marshallkofi.com/StripTalk74. You can help us out buying us gold pills, or if you want to support the Cash App, whatever, everything's here to help out. Let me know what your thoughts are as we move forward this, because I really want to jump into tonight's stuff. I got a loaded panel of information that I want to cover tonight that I think we should get into. Well, if it's slow, I've been having some technical difficulty. All right, it's loading now. I noticed that some of the things, like there's been a lot of the information that's been coming out has been saturated, but it's slowly moving out, matriculating out. And there's so many things that people are taking positions on talking about, but I want to focus on some of the hotter topics right now and not really go into the war so much, but we'll cover it as an overview. Europe draws up plans for new NATO without U.S. I think this is already a fast-forwarded thing, and we said this a while ago on this show, that the United States has already left NATO. This is a workup, all right, to the eventuality of leading, okay? And Europe, this is coming from Europe. This is coming from NATO themselves. And this article is basically written about their position and what their plans are. They're not telling you what their fallback is. They're saying that they have one because they know it's coming. So Europe is speeding up a fallback plan for NATO in case Washington pulls out of the alliance as anxiety grows over America's reliability. Officials working on the plans dubbed European NATO. There you go. They're already planning on the United States leaving, taking 75, 86,000 troops, what have you, and moving out. We're going to move out. Are reporting attempting to supplement the U.S. military assets with European ones. This is a done deal. The plans drawn up last year are also seeking to place Europeans in NATO's command and control roles, the Wall Street Journal reports. Those involved have stressed that it is not intended to rival the current alliance, but rather than preserve a deterrence against Putin. They're still scared of the big bad voodoo daddy and nuclear credibility and operational continuity. Even if the U.S. withdraws forces from Europe, which they will, last week it was real. Donald Trump was considering pushing members of NATO that he believes were unhelpful. You see how the fight is going on with Giorgia Meloni. You notice how Italy's in focus. First, the attack with the Pope, making circuitous commentary that he should shut his mouth. He should shut his mouth, okay? Go along and be the traveling salesman with your inculcation and your indoctrination and stop with the shit. And then Giorgia Meloni's firing back because now they're consolidating. The EU is consolidating right now. Europe is consolidating. They got the hooks in her. They know when the United States leaves, they're all going to be on their own. I wonder how our relationships are going to be thereafter, but I don't fucking care. And Israel in the war against Iran by pulling American troops out by the country's bases. The proposal would involve moving troops out from the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, member countries deemed uncooperative with the military campaign. No, it's all of them. And transferring them to nations who are more supportive of Washington, which is basically, it's really going to go places like Greenland. Will fortify maybe the northern and southern borders that we'll be doing on. But Trump has, in recent weeks, repeatedly threatened to withdraw America from the 32-member alliance. He's also had several NATO countries rejecting his call to help reopen the vital Strait of Hormuz through the 20% of the world's oil and gas flows. So this is another stranglehold. All right, this is part of what he's doing. This is not about Iran. This is about the proxy of Iran and who it's controlled about. All right, and it's not that strait. There's many other straits. You got the Red Sea. You got Panama Canal, the Strait of Malacca. You got all these different types of areas where there are transport routes out that are controlled through the maritime operations, the Lloyd's of London, the insurance, the Bank of London, all these different types of control mechanisms. It's all being decoupled at the moment. President Trump's belief that the nations didn't do enough to help the U.S. during Operation Epic Fury is threatening to tear apart the transatlantic alliance. It's already done. It's already finished. And we're going to get to all this. Look at this. You see this? Look at that. Here it is. Population 348 million, 632, 143 million Russia, $900 billion. Okay. Look at that. They spent only 610. Active personnel 1.5. They have 2.1. And we have more troops there. Why do we need our troops there? 4,640 tanks, 6,000. They don't need us. They don't look aircraft. They don't need us. They're still bigger and broader and stronger right here as this applies without the U.S. against Russia. 479 for the Navy, 671. What are they talking about? I just want to show you that because that's important. Washington has around 84,000 soldiers stationed across Europe. Waste of money, a waste of taxpayer dollars, a waste of everything. U.S. bases serving a critical hub of global military operations, as well as providing economic boost to the host country through investment. Bases stationed in Europe also serve as a deterrent against Moscow. So while the U.S. remains critical to NATO's military command, intelligence, and logistics, Europe is actively working to take on a greater share of responsibilities. I'm not going to go through the rest of it. I think really you get an understanding. Actually, there was a part here. Sweden's ambassador to Germany, Veronica Juan Danielson, said, "We are taking precautions and having informal talks with a group of like-minded allies and will contribute to fill the gap with NATO when so required." See, they're all pissed off. They're all angry. But Europe has the viability, the potentiality, all right, to defend its borders without the United States. Why do they need us? So they don't have to lift a finger. So they don't have to pay for this. We pay for the brunt of this. That's the whole thing. We're being used. And Trump knows this, and it's no more. One aspect critical to the plan's success, according to officials, is reintroducing the military draft. Uh-oh. That's going to be problematic for Europe, but it's not going to be our problem, ladies and gentlemen. Marshall, your thoughts? I mean, it's already, to me, this article, if you would have told me, if this was brought back like years ago, and you fast forwarded today, this was a foreboding. I mean, it was a harbinger. It was a forewarning, a foreshadowing that this was going to happen. And I think in this right now basically sets the stage. This is already done. We're just seeing Europe basically tell us right now. If you fast forward into the future, and this is something that was written, years ago, and then here we are now reading it at this moment when we're playing catch up, you would automatically think that NATO has already been done.
Yeah, and I'll take, if it comes to, which I think it will, they haven't done it yet. I'll take Russia and our board of peace over any of those European countries.
Mm-hmm.
And your audio and your video has been breaking up really bad.
It
looks okay now, but anyway, I would take Russia over any of those European states. And so we're going to save a ton of money, a lot of lives potentially. So I think it's all good. I think, I think it's already done too, Brett, just like the Iran war.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's already done. And I think a lot of people are really just playing catch up. We're all playing catch up. This was fast forward a long time ago. And we're just, we're in the middle of the movie, I think, and we're coming to the end. And I think at the end of it, we'll see it. And NATO is one of the things that we wanted to be gone. I've been opining upon this left and right for years. I've been saying UN 2, UN is garbage. How much money do we, we're all being used for what? What is UN for? They don't solve any peace problems. They're not there to help. They don't do anything. This guy, sir, solved 8 problems, 9 wars. Okay, how many UN has done? 0. They haven't done shit. All they do is what? They talk and they communicate, and nothing gets done. It's an organization that, again, is part of the cold relic syndrome that we're living through, and these things have to be shattered and broken. And I believe that it will be replaced by the peace board that will sit in with different countries, will have a better, let's just say, fair share of everybody participating, putting in $1 billion and being an equal partner in this. Not someone that's like, all right, you get the mic this week, you get the mic this week, you have the floor this week. No, everybody's on an equal footing. That's what the peace board is going to represent, ladies and gentlemen. Let's listen to President Trump here with Maria Bartiromo. NATO zero help, reality sets in. It's all explained right now.
For the world, we've had no help, 0 from NATO. We're there for them. They're not there for us. We spend, you saw the chart that came out a couple of days ago with a big monster red ball. That was us. And all these little satellite balls. And it represented the money spent on military and NATO. And it's ridiculous. And they should have been better. They should have said, we'll send somebody. It's a small operation compared to a big operation. But NATO was not there for us. And what it means, if they're not there for us here, they're not going to be there for us. So why are we spending hundreds of billions of dollars a year on NATO if they're not going to be with us? If they're not going to be with us on Iran, they're not going to be with us on a much bigger subject than Iran.
He has to explain that. He has to drive that home. He has to constantly put that out there, let people know in some way that, look, the bottom line is they're never going to be there for us, and all we're doing is wasting our money. And he's trying to get people that whether support this idea or are on the fence about this or not really sure, and maybe the Senate, maybe the House in some way, whether they like it or not, all right, this has to be done in order to save us financially from being what? Crippled by how many trillions of dollars we're in debt. This is part of the change. And you know what? This can also restructure how much let's just say the amount of money that goes into our defense spending. Because think about it, if we're spending what? It showed you there, what? $911 billion, almost $1 trillion that we're spending on a year for defense spending. Think about it, that money, all that money is going to operations in the Northern Hemisphere, in the places where it's important, instead of spending money overseas to protect what? A useless continent, a continent that's going by the wayside, partners that don't have our best interest, that were ripping us off, that you had to restructure these trades and these tariffs and get these deals in place. That was the first part of this. And now, after we're basically telling them, hey, look, we're done. We don't want to spend any more money there. We've had it with you. And their plan of action is realizing they're setting it forward. They're saying, hey, look, we get it. We know it's coming, and be ready for it.
Yeah, and this is another signal towards the end of the control through the British Empire and others. And now we've got on this board of peace, we've got, what is it, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, a number of
Oman, UAE, Saudi Arabia, I mean, Turkey,
Hopefully
Iran. I mean, there's going to be, not Iran, Israel, but
like 20 of them.
There's 20 countries already. But it's not even that. And you know what? If you want to be a part of it, that's fine. You want to pony up the money. But the questions are, and I do believe there are going to be some NATO allies in the European continent that will leave that want to join this, knowing full well they'll be under a better umbrella of protection as working with the incontinence of the continent of Europe. Because let's face it, if something goes awry there, none of those countries are going to go and help and support out. I don't see France helping out Germany or vice versa or any of these things. They're going to be on their own. And I think President Trump already foresees it. It's really about us, how much money we can save in the future, how much money that we can use to fortify our South American border, our North American border, just our borders on the Pacific and the East, strengthening Greenland. What happens if we take over Canada? Canada falls. Think about Canada. We give them $350 billion a year for some type of I don't know, to help them out in some way. I don't know what we're doing that for. I don't know if that's cut off or not, but in some way, and they're meeting what their fractional goal at NATO. It's irrelevant. It doesn't even matter anymore. We're just spending more money that we don't need to, and I think more money will now be saved. It'll be more towards paying off our deficit or moving into another realm, another futuristic realm that I think will bode well for the United States. Here we are. Goodbye, NATO. Hello, America first. This was a good article, and I want to play this a little bit. Let's see if it plays, but I'll read it a little bit. North Atlantic Treaty Organization was founded in 49, 32 nations. Not surprising, the United States of America, largest contributor, supplying 16% of overall NATO budget, $980 billion, which is 60% of the overall defense spending of all member nations. It's ridiculous. That's why we have almost $1 trillion defense spending, because we got to pony up some of that money to this. Realizing that many nations were freeloading and not contributing to the fair share. In 14, the leadership of NATO mandated that members spend 2%. Yeah, that doesn't work. That's of the gross domestic product on defense spending. Unfortunately, in 2024, then NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg admitted that the 9 member nations still not met their 2% goal. Pretty embarrassing. So they haven't met their goals. Okay, they didn't come to our aid when needed. Okay, what is it? I mean, this is like having a friend, supposedly a best friend, and you pick up the phone, and every time you pick up the phone, the friend's not there. But that friend always comes to you to what? Beg, borrow, and what? I need money, help me out. That's exactly what it is. That's a sorry excuse for a friend. Throughout history of NATO, the United States has played a leadership role in recent conflicts: Bosnia, Herzegovina, Kosovo, Libya, Ukraine. The United States is still contributing, and we're still spending money to Ukraine. And you notice Zelensky was in Italy, all now working what? There's a partnership deal in some way. I think they have a huge problem ahead of themselves, because Ukraine right now is going bye-bye, and I do believe it's going to be taken over by Russia. The United States has contributed military personnel, equipment, airstrikes, logistics, and strategic command. Unfortunately, when the United States needed help in the war in Iran, NATO nations refused to get involved. Not only did these countries decline to help military by providing naval vessels to patrol or help the Strait of Hormuz, but they also refused to allow our planes to overfly to the axis of military bases in the nations. That is a sticking point, and that is the reason why this is all going bye-bye. These actions are unforgivable betrayal of their big brother. The nation has been providing for their military protection for almost 8 decades. NATO has become a one-way street, the United States delivering support and getting only lip service in response. Why should American tax dollars continue to fund an organization that delivers nothing? It's not like our tax dollars. We don't even know where our tax dollars go. We know it's stolen to pay for this shit. That's why people don't want to pay their taxes anymore. You know, and this whole thing in general is an example why there's going to be different structures in place that are going to be legitimately moved off the board, per se. And I don't know if it's going to be, let's put it this way, things are going to fill in this, but we're going to see new paradigms maybe fill the void or the vacuous state at the moment, which will be good, but it's only beneficial to us because we'll have our own interest involved. It was founded at the beginning of the Cold War with the Soviet Union, where the evil empire no longer exists, and neither does the Warsaw Pact. I think everybody gets it. Let me just go down here. President Trump stated NATO's lack of support in the war in Iran is a rupture in the alliance that will never disappear. Again, part of the reason I think that it's not just the Bank of London, it's not about the maritime operations that all these things, the controls, the insurance, the money, everything, the speculation, all these different things, all these entanglements that they have from the Bank of London, all these other individual things. It's that this life force, this what it is, it just sucks the living essence out of the United States. It's been doing it for over 75 years, and it's now coming to an end. That's why everything is fracturing. They're not really sure what's going on, but a new paradigm in the horizon is happening. There'll be no return for business as usual in NATO during neither the U.S. administration nor the next one. We are closer to a break than we've been before. Last Wednesday, President Trump held a heated meeting with NATO Secretary General Root. Afterwards, White House officials said, as President Trump said yesterday, NATO was tested and they failed. It's done. And I think that these articles that are being put out right now, the Daily Mail had this out earlier, and I thought this one was good from Town Hall 2 days ago, is that they're getting ahead of the narrative. The perception management that is being orchestrated out, okay, is to get ahead of the curve. It's a failed, broken system, just like many particulars that we're talking about in place that are failed, broken systems that have to be done away with. And that's what you're seeing. And a lot of people are just like, it took an arm and a leg to drive people over to what Iran really represents. Well, Iran is representational of what? NATO allies not coming to our defense in times of war, okay? But this was perfectly set up to expose the narrative of what it is. None of them wanted to partake in this in some way because of what? The Bank of London, the global control, the cabal that is involved with controlling maritime operations, the straits, the port, all these different things that they have their hands in, okay? Where the Black Ghost oil goes out to, where the arms shipments come in from China, a whole host of stuff we're going to cover, Marshall. But NATO is entwined with this in some way. And they know there was a reason why they didn't partake in this, because they're all the elements of the EU are involved with the cabal that are involved in sucking us dry, ripping us off, making sure that NATO, which is basically, again, an old Cold War relic that really is meaningless, the real power, the EU bureaucrats that dictate their power and control over looting out the world and making the world worse than what it is. That's who this is, and that's what we're seeing, and that's what's representational at the moment.
Yeah, and every penny that they owe us needs to be retroactively paid back, whether it's through tariffs or through their ass, one way or the other, because there's a lot of money that they all owe us.
Yeah.
And the one other thing is that I was very relieved to hear that they elected a new prime minister in Hungary. And everybody was worried that it wasn't Viktor Orban. But this guy is saying we're not doing anything the EU wants. We're keeping our borders tight. So except for one thing about corruption, he's going to go along with fine. That's fine. So that's a good thing. I mean, a little off, but still.
Yeah, I saw some notes. I'll probably cover it on another time and stuff. Senior Polo gifted the shades. Marshall, what's your stance on flat tax? Darlo gifted the can. Good evening, gentlemen. Hello, my fellow chatters. Curious Cat, thank you for the cookie. Thank you very much. What's up, James, over here on YouTube? How you doing, Brent Marshall? Good. Pork Chop Billy, welcome in. Good to see everybody out there. What's your stance on flat tax?
I think we're about ready to not have any tax.
Yeah,
more or less. You know.
Well, the flat tax basically it's really, that would probably be, depending on how we're going to substitute out, if we're going to have it state by state in a consumption basis. But the question is, if we do away with the IRS, and the IRS is not necessary, and the tariffs basically work in unison to remove the IRS, then we don't pay our taxes anymore. We'll probably have, I don't know what type of other tax. I don't know. There might be incidental taxes. I mean, property tax right now is still up in the air. I know, as we're discussing in Florida. I don't know how every other state is going to look into that. But if you're talking about income tax, I'd say that's gone. Federal income tax.
Not have it.
Right. And we don't pay a state tax in Florida, but some states do. You know, good. So the question is, will you still pay a state tax? Will you still pay all these gas tax? Will you still pay all this? So there is a good question to understand, Senior Polo, get the shades. What do you think of flat tax? And can you donate more money to countries, liberal programs, et cetera, if you want? Can you donate more money to countries, liberal programs, et cetera, if you want? I don't know. I mean, I would be careful about donating. Why would you want to donate liberal money? If you're basically saying that the flat tax in unison or the taxes in general is going to be siphoned off in some way, is that what you're suggesting? Because I'm reading two different questions here. The flat tax in general, as I see it overall, when you look at it right now, how the states will rectify generating revenue outside the tariffs, it's going to be quite different. Will we still have a gas tax? Probably. I mean, like I said, it's federal income tax, Federal Reserve, federal income tax. But as this is all going to change state by state, that's a question for each individual state. And I think you'll have some states will probably have better tax-free zones than other ones, Marshall.
Yeah, I mean, you still got to pay for your roads and all that.
Right, exactly.
But I think we're seeing a decentralization of our tax. If the IRS, let's say it's changed its way, or they changed their name, or they just whatever. If there's no federal tax going on, the states are gonna. That's the way it should be. The way it's supposed to be anyway. The states are supposed to handle pretty much everything, other than the protection of your country. Collectively they are, but yeah, I think it'll just go to your states are going to have it.
Yeah, it's going to go back to 10th Amendment.
We had before we had income tax and all. It was like 1917 or 1846. It was a long time ago.
Before 1917, right after the First World War, it kicked in. What Federal Reserve started at 14, and then thereafter we started getting that. So we didn't have that before because of tariffs, but we didn't even pay it in the states. So again, it's going to be a slow walk away from this, and how states work in this, how this is going to change up. I don't necessarily think that all taxes are going to go away. I just think the federal income tax structure is going to walk away. As for donations of money to countries, liberal programs, etc., if you want to donate money to countries, I guess that's what you're saying. I don't. Please let me know. I'm not really in liberal programs, etc. If you want, I'm sure there might be ways you can do so, but will it be a tax write-off? See, again, a lot of these things are going to go away. All the loopholes, everything is going to be done, because once you remove the Federal Reserve off the board, you remove the IRS. You're not going to need all this stuff. That's why you have all these tax shelters and all these different things. The question is, what's going to replace it? I think it's going to be states replacing it with their own individual excise tax, or what you want to call a flat tax. I call a consumption tax. I think that's where we're going to go with this. Okay. What if China, Russia, and others are coordinating with POTUS to eliminate the NWO? I call it NATO World Order, not Nephilim, not New World Order. I call it the NATO World Order, because that's what's really being crippled right now. Sure, does this sound like that's what's happening? I think it blows up. You see China here. I saw this. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit more. It says China there. Yeah, it says, how did POTUS remove one side of the pyramid? How did POTUS remove? Visiting China, where to this? What is the significance? What if China, Russia, and others are coordinating with POTUS? I mean, we all know that that's happening in some reality, because if that was true, all right, China would already sent weapons to Iran. They would have been involved. Russia would have been involved. I mean, if this is not a wake-up call to understand what happened to this partnership that Russia, North Korea, China, Pakistan, that were working with Iran. It was all subterfuge. It was all bullshit. And this thing was ironed out a long time ago in some way to decouple them from really the stage that they've set themselves up with as a proxy for the Bank of London and many other cabal groups. All right, let's continue on. Here's another one I want to show you. This is another interesting piece right here. I got a lot of incidental stuff like this talking about it. Observing consciousness, they're moving to keep the EU intact by reshaping NATO under a more European-led structure, pulling the command, funding, and decision-making closer to home so the system can function without full U.S. backing. That shift is really about preserving continuity. As the old dependency model tightens, forcing Europe to consolidate, control, and carry its own weight while holding the alliance together, their new center of gravity. Yes, that's exactly it. All right. And that's what Iran is. All right. We're tugging at the thread. Iran unravels this whole thing. And you're starting to see the more and more that this thing comes to a head and a pass in some way. And then there's some deals worked out, or whatever those deals that have already been worked out. That's what I agree. I think ultimately that's what we're going to see. Trump is forcing NATO to stand on its own, and that pressure is making the alliance smaller and more exposed every day. Countries can't lean on the U.S. the same way, so they have to show what they can actually do, and that reveals who's strong and who's not. Yep, that's a good point. That's an excellent point. Observing consciousness, always good stuff over there, Marshall.
Yeah, and the easy way for people to really look at it is that Israel is basically the baby of the British Empire, or the Rothschild. I think it was a Rothschild. Yeah, Rothschild. It's basically that. And Iran is the cousin of that baby, so to speak, something like that. They're related. And it all goes back that the whole Middle East over there that we've been dealing with our whole lives, Brett, it's all been one. That's their game board over there. The banks and all. That's their game board. Now it's all being taken apart. And most people think, oh, this is a war against, China's going to come and blow us, and they're going to get Russia. It's going to be, no, it's not about Iran or Israel, really.
No,
it goes back to Europe.
Yeah, NWO doesn't stand for new. I said, I know. Nazi, maybe. Well, I mean, you could say that, but I like to fashion the idea the N is for NATO. Okay? The N is for NATO, the NATO world order. because they're the ones who control everything. You're seeing how NATO is being what? Decoupled right now. We're decoupling from NATO, from the control of NATO and what NATO relegates onto us. We've restructured all the tariffs. We've restructured everything. We're going to get rid of the Federal Reserve. There are a lot of things in place that are going to happen. We'll cover that. I'm okay with the flat tax. It's basically a consumption tax, like Brett said. I think it's going to happen is the federal part is gone. You know what, Marshall? Let me say this. All right, it's not that. It's that we're going to see other things that happen that the Federal Reserve, once Wash comes in, and I do believe, because there are many people that want Powell to go away, that you'll see interest rates drop immediately and the massive changes will take place. Nope, N stands for Nazi. Okay. Yeah, I mean, look, apples, oranges, tomato. I don't really care. If that's what you feel, that's fine. I'm not going to argue with you. I always thought that in some way, the way I see it, NATO is the perceived control group of the New World Order, at least the EU or the bureaucrats or what stands behind that. That's what I meant. All right, so Trump predicts the Iran war is very close to being over. She said the other day, Maria Barrato, he said it's over. The post peace talks are resuming soon. Was there a faux pas? I don't know if there was a faux pas, but look, overall, in some way, a lot of the stuff that's being placated out, basically at this moment, it's already done. That's all you need to know. It's finished. It's all working out how we're going to see this, how this is going to come about. They have to make sure they string this along at a certain amount of time. It can't be a couple days, can't be this. They got to make sure it looks like it was negotiated out in such a long, arduous way that it wasn't just done simply overnight and be like, that quick, that fast? See, that's the presentation of the theatrical masterpiece that's in front of you. They have to make sure it's part of the scale of the theme here in some way. Keep that in mind. Listen to this.
So if I didn't do that, right now you would have Iran with a nuclear weapon. And if they had a nuclear weapon, you would be calling everybody over there, sir. And you don't want to do that.
Well, you keep saying was. Is this war over?
I think it's close to over, yeah. I mean, I view it as very close to over.
Look at him look away and down. He's totally fucking bullshitting her. You know what I'm saying? When you look away and down, you're basically lying. I mean, of course, he's lying. I mean, he's basically saying, yeah. I mean, you can read it as
about something different, man. He's talking about completely different things.
I know, and that's the point. And that's how, like, when you see his face and look away, she's not picking up on this. I mean, she's not paying attention. I think we get it, but let's continue. Watch it again.
Want to do that?
Well, you keep saying was. Is this war over?
I think it's close to over, yeah. I mean, I view it as very close to over. You know what? If I pulled up stakes right now, it would take them 20 years to rebuild that country. And we're not finished. We'll see what happens. I think they want to make a deal very badly.
It's odd that he keeps saying that, okay, in some way, but he has to string this along in such a way that the media continues to play into this and what it means. And while we sit there and scratch our heads, it's like, where a lot of people are either comfy or uncomfy with the whole situation. A lot of people have no idea what's going on. And I think in some way, what President Trump is saying to her and stuff is that, look, what you're thinking is done, okay, is finished, well, that's over. But what you think that you're talking about that I'm trying to respond to is not over, okay? And I think in some way there's a miscommunication because they're talking about two different things.
Well, and he can't just go out and say, well, we're taking away the central banks and British Empire and all the control of the globalists. So, hey. Yeah. Then everybody be like, you're crazy. This guy's a madman. Yeah. They're already
the
doing
Mad
that.
Hatter. The Mad Trump Hatter.
He's the Mad Hatter. It's like, I love it because when she said this war is almost over, Brett, is it almost over? He's not talking. That's not the war he's talking about.
Exactly.
And that's not with the war that's going on.
Right.
And she doesn't even, she may know herself personally, being an intel, like she probably knows.
Right.
But they have to say this icing part on the cake to let people kind of, anyway, go ahead, man.
Well, this is part of the foggy war. I mean, this is what a lot of people are just caught up in. Stocks are up. NASDAQ, its longest winning streak from 2021. Screen oil down, second day in a row. Markets continue to price and starky binary physical outcomes smack in front of us on the side that's full of stardust. The IMF just warned of a potential world recession ahead if Hormuz stays shut. its latest three global growth scenarios: weaker, worse, or severe. Because markets and politics, the fund chose the most benign as its base case, even as downside risks are clearly elevated. That's as Spain, for example, just released 4 of their 90 days of strategic oil reserves and another 8 to follow. While that leaves 78, even if Hormuz reopened tomorrow, it would take at least 60, possibly 150 days before normal oil flows can be restored. But no one's talking about coming to the United States and picking up oil. Do you understand that? Imagine driving home in a Conway through a blazing desert in an air-conditioned car, knowing you only have 50 miles of fuel in the tank, and the next station is 30 miles away. And then hearing on the radio that it could be shut, and following one is at least 60 miles away. That's where much of the world economy stands now. They're going to be forced to what? Buy oil from us. That's it. Most governments are doing the kind of pumping oil wells aren't. Brussels is pitching a state of subsidy bonanza to combat energy shock, which goes much further than the current state. Canada's Prime Minister Carney, who ran 2 central banks, have suspended federal taxes on gasoline and diesel. Oh, so you can suspend federal taxes when it's necessary and convenient for you. Australian Treasurer Chalmers has introduced a 20-year retrospective capital gains tax on mining, energy, and infrastructure. My God. Malaysia is to increase its biofuel mandate, provided the war ends soon. Those kinds of policies can cushion the economy, but across all schools of economic thought, textbooks, we're clear about the demand side boost into structural supply side shocks leave you stuffed. So to the war.CENTCOM says no ships past the Iran blockade in 24 hours. Moreover, the U.S. Treasury says it's not renewing its temporary easing of Iran oil sanctions and has sent notices to China and Hong Kong asking for help in enforcement. The U.S. is clearly escalating hard versus Iran, despite messages pinging yesterday that sanctioned Chinese vessel Starry Rich had transited Hormuz, ignoring if an interception was to be made. It would be at the Gulf of Oman or Arabian Sea, and then clarify the vessel was carrying methanol from the UAE, not fuel from Iran. So it wasn't in the scope, then the ship turned around anyway. Yes, there'll be more than U.S.-Iran talks in Pakistan, possibly tomorrow, which is the lodestar market bulls are guided by. As the Telegraph notes, this seems to be the one place that Iran's battered leadership can physically meet without being killed. But what will they say that's different from the last rejection of U.S. demands on uranium, nuclear weapons, missiles, proxies, and Hormuz? Vice President Vance reiterated Trump wants a grand bargain with Iran, not a small deal, and no one sees it to abandon its nuclear ambitions. Trump has added that he wasn't happy with the proposed 20-year moratorium on Iran's enriched uranium is a threshold condition for its ending of the Iran campaign through the head of Mossad. Chiefs additionally declared our mission isn't over until the regime falls. Okay, on a positive note, if assuming escalate to de-escalate, Israel and Lebanese envoys just held a historic summit. Yep. I think they're at the United States right now, at Washington right now, in the U.S. to discuss a peace deal, as the Israelis put it. Lebanon wants to be liberated from Iran-backed Hezbollah, and we discovered today that they're on the same side of the equation. Wow. Massive, massive undertakings going on. You could start to see, and that's the thing. If Iran basically walks away from Hezbollah, that's it. They're done. They're finished. They cut off all the funds. I mean, no one's going to support them anymore. Hezbollah is just one of these proxies like Houthis and Hamas that gets their money from the oil and it's carried out to carry out whatever they want to do contingently. And they're really not the proxy army of Iran, but the proxy armies of the cabal.
Yeah. And, I tell you what, Brett, I would have never thought. I've never seen that happen before. Lebanon teaming,
in Israel?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So I think something happened with these guys running Israel. They've been flipped or something. Something's happened there.
Yeah.
It feels like something has changed. They're not acting the way they used to act.
Well, Clandestine's newsletter put something out, and I think this is a good orchestration and understanding about what is taking place. Did China agree to stand down in Iran? This is a good one. There's just no way Trump could be pulling all this off on a whim. This is exactly what it leads to. China and Russia turned their backs on Panama, Venezuela, Iran, and Cuba. And Cuba, baby, is sitting on the hot seat right now and are doing nothing while Trump secures a massive chunk of the world's energy supply lines. Do you think that's an accident? There are 2 scenarios. Either China and Russia were not informed Trump was doing this, and they simply are too afraid to cross the U.S. military. or they're at least somewhat in the loop and have agreed to stand down in exchange for something. I think the latter is much more, more realistic. The first option would be insanity and would be a threat to both national and global security. Yeah, our military is the most powerful on the planet and by far, but pulling off this maneuver without back channel deals would be dangerous and risk averse for for World War III. This is not Trump's modus operandi. Trump likes to win battles before he fights them. He likes to have deals made before he acts. And by the time the public sees something rolled out, the outcome has already been decided. Yes. So when Maria's already asked him, when it's done, he'll let you know. He'll get back to you. But again, this doesn't rest on Iran having the deal. I think this is closely tied to what? When Powell steps down, which is coming very soon. And if he refuses to, we'll get into that, what's going to happen. I think Trump has secret plans in place with both Xi and Putin. And I think they agreed to stand down while Trump completes the world's most powerful reset. Excellent. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah,
I can't argue with that.
No, I can't either. And I would say that they probably did this on his world tour when he started back in his first term, when he did his world tour. And he talked to all these people, and he got it all laid out his first term. Because there is no way that all these people were saying, like I mentioned earlier, all these liberals and all these whatever panicans you want to call them, oh, China's going to do this and Russia's going to do that. And they're going to come and they're going to kill everybody, all of us.
Mm-hmm.
We're all going. Then all this is going on, Brett. And now China and Russia they've been kind of like, hey, okay, they're drinking their coffee and they're watching everything happen. So I think this bodes well exactly what you said about the latter.
Yeah, I think so. I think every leader knows exactly what's happening. One thunder, couldn't agree more. Well, I think Xi and Putin are completely, and I think a lot of the Mideastern countries are aware of what's happening. And I think this happened a while ago. Yep, and it's taking place right before our eyes, and we're just catching up to the end of this when this has already started. And I think that's what a lot of people, a lot of people give me shit about the end. Okay, it's Nazi. Okay. What's the big deal? I mean, if that's what you think or believe, yes, it's fine.
The big N word.
It's the big N word. There you go. I'm okay with that. It's not a big deal to me. Senior Polo gifted Shades flat tax. Extra programs would be funded voluntarily. Yes. But the flat tax, it's not going to come from a centralized federal. I think the flat tax, if there is a flat tax, possibly will be statewide. You're probably going to see it in some way. Again, we're just guesstimating here. If the tariffs are going to replace the taxes in some way, we'll find out what they have in store. A dollar gift to the can. Flat tax, sales tax would be enough if we got rid of the tit-sucking, lazy libtards and illegals. That's the point and stuff. Well, a lot of these different types of programs that we're in that we still have to do away with and cut them off in some way. So whether the states are going to have to fortify with these taxes in some way, I don't know what's going to happen. Trump has never measured. No one's talked about in this administration in the first term or the second term anything regarding a flat tax or a consumption tax, especially this Secretary of Treasury. No. No one has mentioned that. I can only assume that would qualitatively be, let's just say, positioned for states. Okay, in some way. I just can't imagine states not taking in some type of tax as surplus to fortify, as you said, the roads, schools, properties, in some way. I mean, something has to give way on that. That's something to consider. I'm not really sure, but we haven't heard anything in the administration about that. So I'm not really sure where that is at this point. It might be just a moot point, and all we're doing around is kicking around dust or sand and making a lot of hullabaloo about when something that might not even the case. We might see a lot of taxes just eventually disappear, and that'll be a great thing. But let's start with the Federal Reserve and federal income tax. Once that's gone, that will basically decouple everything that we see. All right, moving on to threats and excuses. Erica Kirk cancels the J.D. Vance interview due to a security threat. Threats or excuses? We'll get to that. I want to cover this. Turning Point USA, Erica Kirk canceled her appearance at TPSU event last minute on Tuesday after receiving what the organization called very serious threats. Let me say this in some way in response to a lot of this nonsense that's taking place in some way, because I have some thoughts about how I feel about J.D. Vance and J.D. Vance's, particular manner in being this. I mean, Erica Kirk, is she the real security threat? The real threat isn't to Erica Kirk. It's Erica Kirk. Why? She may be TPUSA's biggest risk. Is it a possibility? All right. And we're going to show you the pictures inside this auditorium or stadium, what have you, that there was hardly anybody there. And did they realize by underselling these tickets, it was best to move her away because of other questions or questioning? And so they had to avoid this in a protracted manner. Andrew Colville joined Vice President Vance on University of Georgia stage instead of Kirk on Tuesday, and Colville explained it was due to threats and that she had received. Let's play it. I don't buy any of this, but look, it's all part of this. I got more to this, but I want to show you this in some way because I want to ask you this question after this is done about how you feel about this, because the threats and excuses, they're really going to come into this pattern that I'm thinking about.
Major TPUSA event tonight, hosted by Erica Kirk and Vice President Vance. But at the last minute, someone had to pull out.
For those of you wondering why I don't have really flowing, long, blonde hair right now, I'm on stage here instead of our friend Erica Kirk.
That's right.
Because unfortunately, she has received some very serious threats in her direction, which is terrible. It's a terrible reflection on the state of reality and the state of the country.
So, of course, Charlie was assassinated. Her kids left without their father. And now she can't even go to her own event because of these threats. Major TPUSA.
So what's your thoughts about that? We'll get Marshall's thoughts about it before I jump in here, because I got a couple of things I want to show you.
I don't think she received any threats, because if she did, they would have produced where they came or who they came from, or at least produced the threats. Come on, just at least tell me the threats. What were they? So I'm not buying that. I think that she didn't show up there because, number one, she didn't want to answer any questions. So
you're saying this is threats or excuses? So you're saying she's laying out the excuse as a threat?
J.D. Vance didn't make any excuses. He's the number 2 guy running the most powerful country in the world. Give me a break. And there's a threat. There's a danger.
So you're saying that you didn't feel any secure, the Secret Service protection there in some way. What threats were highlighted in some way that you had to keep it secret and not share, that the Secret Service that's protecting J.D. Vance felt like, well, the threat wasn't great enough for him? And you're going to tell me he's not targeted? I mean, you're basically saying that she is more powerful than J.D. Vance. That's what you're saying. And that the threat level for her is higher than the Vice President of the United States.
Well,
that's what you're saying.
I'm repeating what they're saying.
I'm throwing this out there. I'm doing it superfluously. I'm throwing this out there.
Essentially, that's what is being played out. And the thing is, for me, I don't know about you, this is just my personal opinion.
Right.
Is that I think that the young kids that are in college down in Georgia and all over the country are like, I'm not buying this. This is not, I'm not buying it.
No.
And the tickets were even free, Brett, from what I found. The whole thing reeks. And I think it was deliberate. I think there's a reason for us seeing this, without a doubt. Go ahead, man.
No, I look, I couldn't agree more. I'll just blow this up. I mean, this was the auditorium. I mean, I want to say this. Look, why is J.D. Vance hitching this wagon to a broken woman, the ghost of Charlie Kirk, and an organization like TPUSA, which has now become completely unraveled, defrocked, vulnerable, revealed, exposed? I mean, is this to honor Charlie and ride his coattails to 2028? I mean, is that what he's expecting? Is this more political? I mean, what are we looking at? What are we trying to understand here? I mean, is this political leverage? I mean, he's investigating all this fraud. Apparently, he's in charge of all the fraud. Is he sitting there amongst this to basically say, hey, look, I'm here as the frauds are, and maybe they're on our list? I mean, look, TPUSA is dead. It died with Charlie Kirk. There's no getting around it. And what has befallen upon them has been less than honorable. It's been really disgusting. And it starts and ends with his wife. But the whole scenario still surrounding his death, about the coverage about everything, about the alleged supposed shooter that's on trial right now, the commentary that's all over the place, the discord that Colbert puts out, the threats that are in her life, that she's uncomfortable. He talked about her children. Well, I saw Anna Paulina Luna said, months ago, that she lost her children on the Patrick Bet-David show. And he's like, really? Oh, yeah, she lost her children. So what are they talking about? Why is this discussion now coming back in the fold? I think in some way we're about to see something about Turning Point USA. Yes, I am. I'm saying that. I think there's something else going on. And why would J.D. Vance want to go to something like this? They knew full well, and they didn't have a packed audience. They didn't have enough tickets. They didn't give enough tickets out. They didn't want to be embarrassed by this and putting her out there. And maybe in some way, there was a purpose to keep her separated away from J.D. Vance. Have you thought about that? And so they had to make an excuse. Erica Kirk canceled her appearance at the own organization's event, citing security concerns. I'm not buying it at all. By some accounts, there may have been more protesters outside the arena than participants inside the arena. I'm buying that. Against a seating capacity of 8,500, only 1,000 people were there in attendance. If Charlie Kirk was there, that place would be overflowing with people. Again, TPUSA is dead because Charlie Kirk is dead. Photos of the event show vast areas of unoccupied seats. On April 2nd, the first stop on the controversial college tour drew less than 1,400 people to Listener Auditorium at George Washington University in D.C. That auditorium was smaller than the one at UGA, and this was comfortably full, according to the published reports. At GWU, even Kirk spoke with the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. Kirk told GWU students her husband gave his life for free speech and told the conservative students in the crowd they must continue to speak with the truth against liberal classmates who try to push false narratives. All right, some critics charged Erica Kirk did not want to appear at the University of Georgia because the attendance was small, and she issued a statement saying her family takes seriously the threats against her security, and she decided last minute not to appear. And look, that's another thing to say about her character. If she decided not, either TPUSA wanted to keep her away from here because they're moving on from her, it's a possibility, or that she decided in some way, well, it's, there's not enough people there, and I don't want it to be about me or a spectacle because, her narcissism reaches a whole new level. And you know what? I don't really care at this point. And yes, something fishy about it all. I don't really see it, a boneless chicken. The question is, I'm just covering this as we're seeing it, but I want to ask in some way, is it possible that she stayed home or was told to stay away from that event because of the vice president being there?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I think that could be true. I think that Team Trump and they all, JD Vance, they want us to see this.
Mm-hmm.
Because that picture right there would never get out.
Nope.
It would never even exist
Mm-hmm.
if Team Trump didn't want it. I mean, that's what I think. And it still goes back to think that I think we agreed a long time ago when this shit happened, is that somewhere Erica Kirk, not Erica, but Charlie, he's somewhere. I don't think they got that. I don't think they got him. I think this whole thing has been a huge, it's just another, I don't know what you want to call it, side, like a side to the movie or something, but it's very, psychological. There's a lot of psychological shit in this whole thing.
Yeah, look, one thing that we see about this, this could be another facet inside the movie that takes you another place.
Seems like.
It seems like, and as we watch this and understand it and stuff, what you're seeing is only two things that stand out to me. That the more and more they do events, the more toxic it becomes, and they're only digging themselves a grave because they're pushing back on all these people, whether you believe Candace or not, or Tucker or Megan and stuff. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It's what you believe. It's what you think. And ultimately, the majority of people don't believe the guy that's sitting right now in jail, on stand, on trial, is the killer. Okay. And so here we are right now discussing what? A multitude of watching them just basically crumble right before our eyes. They can't handle it. And people are starting to see, and like, maybe I want to stay away from it. There also could be people who just don't want to be there because they're scared. They don't want to be there. They think something might happen. That's something to consider. I want to give that pause. Definitely want to consider that. But ultimately, right now, their numbers have dwindled. Charlie Kirk was bigger than TPUSA. Okay? You can't have Charlie and TPUSA and not in the same name. They are one and the same. That's why they keep his name up for his podcast on at 12 o'clock instead of calling it something else, which they should. Because they know if they changed it, no one would watch it anyway. And they're holding on to what ratings they can, what little ratings they're getting. Erica Kirk's mommy is a spy. This comes from the Burning Platform. This was good. Here it is right here. And I'm going to bring this up and read this. When I saw this, I was like, ooh, uh-oh. And I heard a couple of people talk about this. So Lori Franceva, whatever her fucking name is, appears in Edward Snowden's leaked prison docs as an NSA agent. Erica Kirk's mom confirmed is an intelligence asset. Okay. I just discovered Lori Franceva's name is leaked document released by Snowden. This document explicitly lists her under a section titled Docs, identifying her among a group of alleged NSA agents who has personal data was exposed. For those of us tracking the new TPUSA narrative, this isn't just a coincidence. It's confirmation of intelligent asset theory. The legacy of Lori's inclusion in the list of NSA personnel alongside former directors like Lieutenant General Kenneth Minihan adds massive weight to the claim that she had spent her career embedded in the deep state apparatus. If Lori is confirmed intelligent asset, her daughter's entire life suddenly looks like a meticulously managed operation. The target infiltration of Charlie Kirk, the pieces are fitting together perfectly. We've always suspected that Erica's chance meeting with Charlie in an airport was too convenient to be real. Based on this new link to the NSA, the investigation suggests a larger and darker timeline. The grooming. Erica didn't just stumble into the movement. She was likely directed by Lori, using her mother's defense and intelligence connections to target Charlie Kirk. Remember, Erica changed her entire image, pretending to be exactly the kind of traditional Christian woman she knew Charlie's faith and values would attract just to lure him in. Obviously, because the same person that we saw him with was not the same woman that we saw prior to this. Now, people can change, yeah, but not like that. And something is off completely. Is Erica being directed by the NSA leaked mother? Then the widow we see today isn't a leader. She's an operator holding the line for her mother's interests. Why this changes everything? The link to the NSA PRISM database and Snowden documents proves that Lori's tech background was just a cover for something much deeper. When a former CIA analyst, Erica Kirk's behavior is not fucking normal. And we find her mother in a leaked NSA docs, the coincidence officially dies. They're running a script, and the script was written by people within badges and high-level security clearances. Is Erica a grieving widow, or is she the second generation of an intelligence dynasty? The docs doesn't lie. I'll link the full set of the linked NSA docs in the comments below so you can check them out for yourself. Share this everywhere. The evidence is piling up. Okay. What's your thoughts about this? I mean...
Yeah, and yet to this very day, we have shills on X, and these influencers of certain numbers, they're out there. You know, Trump is crazy. He's a madman. All this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they are pushing so many false. I mean, it's just incredible. I have never seen anything like it before, Brett, where they just you hate Erica because you're like Candace Owens. She's nuts and all this other stuff. It is insane, Brett.
I don't even watch Candace Owens. I don't watch Megyn Kelly.
I don't even watch
and I can tell you right now, I'm like, I don't hate anybody. I believe what I see of this broad. You look at it, she's a phony, fake person.
Common sense, yeah.
I mean, honestly, the whole thing is to have this memorial and what they did. The whole thing is just totally
She's
bullshit.
a grieving widow. For God's sake, are you kidding me?
I know. It's just lunacy.
Got the sequin freaking. Oh my God.
I mean, it's straight out of like some WWF fucking wrestling thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. The whole thing is nuts. Yep. Maybe they did this to isolate her. I don't know. I mean, you know, the
Patty Baker,
long line of gypsies and grifters, trusty turnout. Maybe nothing feels general, but maybe fleeced. I don't believe anything anymore. I don't trust anything anymore. So this is just another, let's just say, scenario that this just seems off, but a lot of people commenting
it's like
on.
Tammy Faye Baker, man. That's what she reminds me.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you could see it, but look, focus on this. But focus on this. Only a quarter seats are filled. Advanced TPUSA talk now. I mean, look at this. There's just no way there was threats enough that kept her away. What kept her away is the empty seats, because people are starting to see through the veil. The mirror is cracked. People could see it. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who is not the fairest of them all? And it's not her. People could see right through it. All right. So
and the
criticism and all the stuff that she's getting is fair. It is fair. I'm not saying, look, the threats and all that shit. Yeah, that's not good. You know, fuck off with that. But look, no one buys the whole story. And, you know, she just shows up out of the blue acting like this in some way. People, they could smell a con job. They could see it. And they're just not buying this anymore.
Well, then Trump is going to be speaking later in a couple of days at the same thing or something like that. Isn't it a couple of days? Like he's.
I don't know. I don't know what he's thinking.
Well, anyway, we'll see how that plays out.
Okay.
Everybody will show up for Trump just because it's Trump. There ain't no. But I don't know if it's connected to this Georgia deal.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway.
So Darlow, gift of the can. Sick of the gaslighting, the flat line, K-Fab, fake, and gay garbage. It's all garbage. I honestly, you know, the whole thing, ever since Charlie Kirk's death, it's like the TPUSA is irrelevant in my mind. They're irrelevant. Yeah. And the more and more they double down on the grift and continue on with this nonsensical, absurd type of talking and attacking people and saying they don't like the pushback and all this other stuff. Well, hey, look, get used to it, okay? Because if this all comes out to be true and this kid walks, all right, or they try to off him before he walks, look out. Look out. That's all I'm going to say. It's going to be really ugly for TPUSA down the line. Trump takes aim at Pope Leo, again days after calling him weak on crime. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, he is now the Bagman. Yes, that's Pope Leo's nickname. Trump took a swipe at the Pope while saying it was unacceptable for Iran to have nuclear weapons. This Pope has not chimed in about Christians in Syria, in the Gaza, in Nigeria, in anywhere. But he wants to come out now and attack President Trump about the war in Iran. What about the Christians in Iran? Okay? What about what's taking place right now? What about all the attacks that the proxy groups have done onto Christians in Lebanon? I don't hear this fucking Pope, the Bagman, which you'll understand very soon what that means. The pontiff has called for a ceasefire under a dialogue to resolve the Mideast. This guy makes me sick. He should have ran for mayor of Chicago instead of becoming the Pope. U.S. President Donald Trump took aim at the Pope Leo, suggesting that he was unaware of Iran's repressive actions against his own people and building the criticism of the Catholic pontiff. Let me say right now, it's not, you're allowed to question and critique a man wearing a dress and funny looking hats, all right, and talking what? Obsequious nonsense, okay? This traveling salesman who wants to pitch the inculcation and indoctrination of all this nonsense, good, have fun with this. But if you want to get on the stage, I didn't elect you, okay? Some bunch of fucking what? Red Cardinals in some fucking pedo room picked you out. So what? You be the best guy to cover up their fucking shit? You can have fun with that nonsense. I voted for Donald Trump. And so when every fucking Catholic that wants to come out there, like towing the line, this is blasphemous, you're going to burn in hell and stuff, fuck you people. You fucking idolatry fucking motherfucking piece of shit jerk-offs. I've never seen more people so freaked out about this whole thing. And I'm walking away from Trump. I'm Catholic. I told you, most Catholics are Democrats anyway. They believe in abortion and homosexuality. They were never there anyway. This is a line that we have to push back on. I'm sick of these people. And you want to talk about a real cult? This is one of them. Will somehow please tell Pope Leo that Iran killed 42,000 of its innocents. completely unarmed protesters in the last 2 months, and that for Iran to have a nuclear bomb is absolutely unacceptable. But I don't hear anything about the Pope saying that. This comes after Trump lashed out against the Pontiff on Sunday, saying that he did not want the Pope, who was critical of the U.S. president. Pope Leo has called for a ceasefire and urged dialogue to resolve the Iran conflict, while Trump has lambasted him for criticizing the U.S. military actions against Iran and Venezuela. Oh, okay. So I didn't see you chime in about Venezuela and what they were doing to their people. But you have no problem criticizing President Trump to liberating them with Maduro and removing the problem they had and opening up the floodgates of what? A positive reinforcement for democracy in that country? No, you don't want to talk about that. I have no fear of the Trump administration, Leo told reporters on Monday. I will continue to speak out loudly against the war, looking to promote peace, promoting dialogue, multilateral relationships among states to look for just solutions. Sounds like Obama to me, Marshall. Sounds like someone's in his ear, okay? And now he's become the part of the Bagman. And I'm going to explain to you what the Bagman is. Go ahead.
Yeah, this guy, he needs to stay in his own lane, number one. That's not complicated. His job is to let white doves out and, be the Pope. That's what he's supposed to do. Instead, what he's doing is going around and getting involved in politics.
Right.
And I've never known, like back in the day when we were kids, like years ago when we were young, much younger, the Pope didn't really get into all this stuff. He didn't get into any of this stuff. He was talking about, healing and
Pope John Paul II was talking about what? The evil atrocities of communism.
There you go.
What the Soviet Union and the empire, what it existed, what the Cold War and its basic Bolshevik revolution has done to the planet. That in itself is what the Pope was talking about. And no one had a problem at that time discussing this. But you went right at the president of the United States, okay? After you had a meeting with David Axelrod, Obama speaking into your mouth and talking. He's become the Bagman. What's the Bagman? Okay? You have to understand he's a go-between to shield higher-ups, a traveling salesman. The Bagman is also a legendary, terrifying creature that inhabits interdimensional bags of holding in board games and tabletop games. If you go back, and you'll understand what I mean by that. And there's references of the Bagman in that TV show, whatever that show was on the Netflix in some way. An apostate. The way this guy acts in some way is absolutely disgusting. Stay in your lane and shut the fuck up. The idea that we're getting attacked. I mean, we were asking the questions left and right. What kind of American are you? Now I got to ask, what kind of Christian am I? It's embarrassing that we have to sit here and listen to this nonsense. But this is the point. All right. Who's the bigger cult? Trump, the Trump army, MAGA, or Catholics? And like they're saying, well, they represent 2/3 of the Trump base and stuff. Good. Don't vote for him. Don't vote for him. Because if you want to stand there when the Vatican falls and all the truths come out, good luck holding your dick in your hand. You're going to have a hard time walking away from a reality that you don't want to find yourself in. And I think that's the problem. And people are coming to that fruition very, very soon because all this is coming out and pointing to them. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that is going to be directed about the Vatican, about the Pope, and you're going to see it, and it's going to be right in your face. I got more to go on this one. Let me show you this.
Well, and Trump is not global, but the Pope is. The Pope is global.
Yeah. Well, he's being attacked, okay, partially because of the fact is that this NATO argument. So what they're doing is Obama, with other groups of people working with the Democrats to ensure that there's a midterm destruction in place and create the idea that Catholics should walk away from President Trump and not vote for him or not vote in the midterms because we are not they are not conditionally represented of what we've strayed from all this other stuff. That's what's being represented here. Look at the Kenyan Times. Obama accused of working with the Pope Leo to ensure Republicans lose their seats. How about that one? Let me blow this one up. I saw this one. This was great. The Kenyan Times, ladies and gentlemen. The Kenyan Times. Is that a joke or what? Political controversies erupted. Former President Barack Obama accused of allegedly working with Pope Leo in an effort to weaken Republican electoral prospects ahead of upcoming elections. What a shocker. I mean, remember Obama going on that tour when President Trump following him place to place, going place to every partition to basically undo what President Trump was put forth, and it failed, obviously. Republican electoral prospects ahead of this. The claim was made by financier Hal Lambert during a CNN panel discussion where he suggested that the meetings involving Obama allies and the Pontiff signaled coordinated political intent targeting Republican voters, particularly within the Catholic community. What's your thoughts about that? The accusation on CNN, Capitol CEO Hal Lambert made the claim during an appearance on Newsnight with Abby Phillips. Lambert said the effort involves Obama, the Pope, David Axelrod, former Obama aide, and now serves as CNN chief political analyst. Lambert urged viewers to connect the dots. He pointed to a recent visit by Axelrod to Pope Leo and suggested Obama may also meet the Pope soon. Lambert described the alleged plan as a Chicago-centered plan because of sheer connections among those figures. What a shocker there. The segment aired raised tensions between Trump, Pope Leo over issues including the war, Iran, immigration. See, that's the key issue. So you don't want to get to that about the Archdiocese, about the Vatican, about the Catholic charities, and what they do to what? Basically move people, they're basically human traffickers. That's what they are. They move people around. They pay people. They get paid in return to move people all over the place through many different types of NGOs and groups. They operate in this form in some way. All right. And that's what you're seeing. They're all about open borders, mass migration. And this is the argument. This is what it is. Since President Trump has closed the borders, he's shutting down all their vehicles where their money pipelines are. That's why they're coming out here right now. No response for accused parties. The White House, Obama's office, and the Vatican are not comment on Lambert's remarks. By late Tuesday, Axelrod also did not respond to comments. Lambert, a supporter of Trump and Republican Party, runs an investment firm. He has appeared in CNN before to discuss the markets. Why this matters, these claims add to the existing divides between Trump supporters and critics of the administration's foreign and domestic policies. See, this is what you need to understand. You have to really remove yourself from these church entities and these state entities, just like the deep state. You're tied to some group or some axis of that group. Same thing with the church in some way. It has no viable, relevant, let's just say, benefit to your life. It doesn't. I'm serious. I don't believe in organized church. I think it's all a scam. You don't have to have that relationship with God or Jesus in any way, having an intermediary. I left the Catholic Church a long time ago. It is a cult, and I believe a lot of the traditions have moved away, far more radical than possibly. They moved into a pagan form in some way. You see how they're tying their ways into with Muslim groups and Muslim affiliations in some way. They're trying to say that more Muslims believe in Jesus right now, but yet at the same moment, they're also saying simultaneously that we shouldn't fear them as much. Well, I remember we had some type of war that went on during the Crusades. Pretty bad back then. Church was involved, right? A lot of people were involved during that time, and we forget these things. So Trump supporters and critics of the administration, foreign and domestic policies, public trust in the political and religious leaders can drop with such series gain attention without evidence. Midterm elections are months away, and perceived interference by high-profile figures or alleged can influence voter turnout campaign strategies for both parties. I agree. It can. It can in some way, and this is what it's done. It's done to divide this further, but I think this is a temporary setback, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think people see through it in some way. I know there's 5 million plus Catholics here in the United States, but it's not going to mean a difference. Okay. Yeah. The argument about gas is more important than about this whole thing about the musings and the ravings and the rantings about these AI memes that have been posted, Marshall.
Yeah. And it seems kind of strange. Who would be interested in telling us that Muslims are our friends, that they're the friends of Christians? Who would be behind that? Right. I can't imagine. Nobody is your friend. Even your own Christian brothers and sisters. You have to be careful. But these people, this whole deal is being pushed by an entity. And I wouldn't just blame
multiple entities.
I wouldn't blame a certain religious group. I wouldn't do that. I would say, like you just said, Brett, I would say it's being pushed by a bigger entity that has been controlling the shit that we have already destroyed. So I think this doesn't mean shit.
Yeah, and you know that's the whole
Not
point.
now.
They want to drive this wedge in. You know, I find it interesting is that Democrats, they always want to talk about the separation of church and state, but only when it suits them. Because I don't hear any of them coming out here telling the Pope to shut his mouth. You know, so I mean they're comfortable with this. So President Trump dropping the truth on Pope Leo. Will someone please tell Pope Leo that Iran has killed at least? And I just read that 42,000 innocent, completely unarmed protesters in the last 2 months. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Yeah, I think J.D. Vance responds to Pope when Pope says God is never on your side of those who wield the sword. There is more than 1,000-year tradition of just war theory. Okay, you know what? I didn't like his original statement, J.D. Vance. I was very critical of that. He seemed kind of backstabbing and duplicitous. He should have been more supportive of President Trump. He is your boss. And you know what? You're an American vice president. I mean, I know you're Catholic, but what comes first in some way? I think you could separate the two. And, you know, he wants to be as exchange niceties as possible, but you can't gingerly walk around this. You have to call it out for what it is. You see how this is being orchestrated. You see what's being done. All right. He's being used as a traveling salesman to indoctrinate many groups of people politically through his teachings and musings and ravings and that he's going to spread about. And he's going to use this as an attack on the Trump administration to hurt Republicans in the midterms. Absolutely disgraceful. That's what's happening. That's what they're going to try and do. And I can tell you right now, every opportunity you could blast the Pope, you should, because you could see this artifice a mile away. All right, moving on.
In Axelrod, he's about the scummiest thing in the earth. I mean,
right, exactly. Yeah, if you're seeing names of Obama, Axelrod, and the Pope together, all the Chicago connection, the Chicago threesome, there you go. Okay?
Run away and don't look back.
Yeah. Obama targeted sending his lackey Axelrod to convince Pope to criticize everything Trump is doing was a blunder. Now Trump gets to expose both the corruption and the hierarchy of the Catholic Church and Obama at the same time. TikTok. Yep. He posted this. The media has an affinity for portraying Barack Hussein Obama as messianic, angelic in the light. Nobody had problems like this, right? The media themselves had affinity for portraying Barack Obama as a messianic, angelic figure. Remember this bullshit? Remember that?
Nonstop.
Can you see the subterfuge? Can you see the sham? You see the lie they're selling? It's unbelievable. All right. And that's Newsweek on that. Unbelievable. They were selling that shit left and right. You want to talk about false prophets everywhere? Those people are the false prophets. And they're engineering the Antichrist. That's what they're trying to do. They're engineering the Antichrist. All right, let's continue.
And all the T-shirts and everything. I'll never forget that shit.
Oh, my God.
God, man. I mean, they worshiped Obama, man.
Yeah.
I've never seen a president worship more than Obama, Brett.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, One Thunder, for the can. No, I agree. All right, let's continue on. Brian Cates, political columnist and pundit. He puts this out. Remember during the transition period back in 2024 when he was asked if he would leave if Trump fired him, what Powell said? Because we're going to move on to the Fed and a couple other things. What did Powell say? Anybody remember? Listen to this.
But does that mean we stop a probe of a building that I would have done for $25 million that's going to cost maybe $4 billion? Don't you think we have to find out what happened there? You know, we have other jobs like that, like the railroad in California, where it's, 25 times more than it was originally going to cost. And I think they're going to end up abandoning it. Okay, that's Gavin Newsom, or as I call him, Gavin Newsom, who's so bad. But that's the one. But I think the Federal Reserve building is just as bad. And so whether it's incompetence, corruption, or both, I think you have to find out. I really do. I think you have to find out.
So you're not going to drop the probe?
No, I'm not playing. I have to find out.
And he said he's not leaving if,
Well, then I'll have to fire him, okay? If he's not leaving on time, I've held back firing him. I've wanted to fire him, but I hate to be controversial, I want to be uncontroversial.
Okay, so John Thune has said that, he welcomes Walsh, the incoming Fed chairman, because everybody knows rates will drop. And then the question will be, will he have an easy transition and being confirmed as the Fed chairman moving forward? That's why they're gingerly walking this out in some way. But I ask this, and I contest in some way. What happens if, even if he does fire him, he simply does not go and says, I'm not going. You can't force me. And then reveals you don't have power over the Federal Reserve. What if this gets into that type of stalemate and we're forced to send marshals over there to arrest him? Or we find out that the separation of the Federal Reserve and the Treasury is one and the same because the Treasury has now taken it over. It'll be an interesting thing if he is fired and what consequentially results in his attitude towards his removal and what takes place thereafter. That is what I'm looking for. That's what you should be looking for, and that's what you should see going forward, Marshall.
You know, I tell you, it feels like I'm getting this little vibe that it feels like Trump is going to be like, I don't need to fire you.
Mm-hmm.
This guy already runs the show.
Yep.
They got the treasury. What was it? Besant? Is it Besant that's doing it?
Secretary
Okay.
Besant.
Yeah. Well, he already runs everything. So you've been out of commission for the last couple of months, brother.
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah,
see
I don't think
that
you got the
happening.
memo. You
I
remember,
can
he's
see-
under investigation for this $4 billion
Yeah.
monstrosity, this
Oh my
mausoleum
God.
with this
What a
thing
mess.
is, and the DOJ, and I'm going to show you this right now, DOJ officials, listen to this. Yeah, Quantum, respond. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, Treasury will absorb the Federal Reserve. Trump did it. Yeah, it's already done. All right, so that's what Marshall was saying. So the idea is that what I was trying to suggest in this matter, not presume, but suggest the idea that, you know, if he doesn't want to step down, what takes the place? Scott Bessent comes out. He's like, no, we already have control of that. You don't have any. Something will be revealed if he's forced to be fired and removed. But he might not have to, according to what Marshall's saying. He knows he has to go. But it might get to that point on that scale that you'll have to see on this theatrical masterclass that will have to be shown what is the role between the Treasury and the Federal Reserve. And you want to show people that it's been absolved by the Fed. That's what you want to show. You want to put that imprint in people's minds. And so the only way you could do it, is to force this kayfabe fight that's going to take place, this wrestling match of ideas, and say, hey, look, all right, I fired him. Now he doesn't want to go. I got to send marshals over to get him. Bessent comes up and says, no, don't worry about it. All right, we got him. We'll take care of him. Because we already control the Federal Reserve. I mean, it could be like that. You could start to see certain things, I think, unfold in a manner that people will get the idea, the window of what's really forming in some way. And you have to slowly walk this into. All right, you can't just blow this whole thing up right away and then say, what happened? And people missed it. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to go back. So DOJ officials, look at this. This was NBC News. I just found it on AOL because I like this article better. Officials attempt to tour the Fed's renovations as the probe stalls. So this DOJ probe, by the way, it's going on. Prosecutors working with Jeanine Pirro, the U.S. Attorney for D.C., made an unannounced visit to the headquarters of the Federal Reserve on Tuesday. 3 officials from Pirro's office arrived. I love Jeanine Pirro. I don't know about you, but I could see her as the AG, but I don't believe that's going to happen, not anytime soon. But I do like her in a lot of ways. Arrived at the Fed headquarters construction site downtown, watching, and said they wanted a tour. Robert Hur, the central bank's outside counsel, told Pirro's office in an email, which seen by NBC News. Pirro's deputies also said they wanted to check on the progress in the years-long renovation of the Fed's historic building overlooking the National Mall. Now, why would they want to check on the progress? They want to check on what? I mean, there's a probe going on, but it's stalled in some way. So is this attempt to what? Gain access to this? Why can't they have access to it? Hur indicated in his email on Tuesday that the investigators were turned away from the site. That's interesting. The attempted visit was the first reported by the Wall Street Journal. The surprise move by Pirro's office came as its investigation into Fed Chairman Powell's congressional testimony last year about the Fed renovation project has been rapidly losing steam. So they wanted an update. I mean, it went from $2.6 billion to $4 billion now. The probe just broke into the public view in January when Powell announced that the subpoenas had been served to the central bank. The threat of the criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve bill setting interest rates based on best assessment and what will serve the public. I wonder if there's something else here, and it's not about this $4 billion fraudulent renovation project in some way. Maybe the subpoenas were about something else, okay? That you're being served notice that you're closing down, you're shutting down. And while this thing operates under the umbrella for a future something, whatever this is going to be, is this the new Treasury Department? Think about this going to be the new Treasury Department. Consider that. All right. So Powell said in a video statement on Sunday night, on March 13th, Judge James Boasberg, there you go, judge in the U.S. District Court for D.C., agreed with Powell. In a ruling, Boasberg blocked the subpoenas Imperial's office has served on the Fed, saying that the government has produced essentially zero evidence to suspect Chair Powell of a crime. On Tuesday, Herr pointed out Boasberg's ruling email. As you know, Chief Judge Boasberg has concluded that your interest in the Federal Reserve renovation project was pretextual. Should you wish to challenge that finding, the courts will provide an avenue for you. It's not appropriate for you to try to circumvent it. Pirro lost a second attempt to revive the quash subpoenas on April 3rd. Herr concluded, I asked that you not commit to to communicate with any of my clients outside the presence of counsel. Pirro suggested in a statement Tuesday night that the investigators were justified in having tried to inspect the renovation project despite the judge's ruling. Any construction project that has cost over 80% over the original construction budget deserves some serious review or overview. She said, and these people are in charge of our monetary policy in the United States. That is perfectly placed. But more immediate is the effect on Tuesday's visit will be seen to further complicate the Senate's confirmation process of Kevin Walsh, President Trump's nominee to succeed Powell. Tillis of North Carolina, who's retiring, stick in the mud, said he will not vote to advance Walsh's nomination from the Senate Banking Committee until Justice Department drops the probe of Powell and renovations. Wow. It seems to me that Tom Tillis has, he's getting paid out from somewhere. I mean, why would you want to stick your neck out for Powell in this way when you're retiring? Obviously, you want to look good and favorable for a new cushy job that might be placed with the cabal at the end of your term, Marshall.
Yeah, Tellis is also saying that he's involved in some shit, which they all are.
Yeah.
And I just, to me, I just think this guy's going to, Powell is going to wake up one morning and he's going to say, well, we don't need to fire you because that job no longer exists. That position no longer exists. It's all been rolled in. I think that's where we're going. Tom Tillis, he's another stiff, just like Boone. They're all a bunch of stiffs. They're corrupt as hell. We're all finding out because so many of them are getting busted for everything under the sun. And I hope they do release some of the information and it keeps going because these people don't belong. They don't represent us. They just
I think that might be what is going to take place. The old the switcheroo.
Flush.
We don't need to fire you. It's not necessary. Your position has now been removed. It's been terminated. You are no longer, let's just say, necessary to our future endeavors. Your position is no longer, let's just say, relevant, or because we already have the Secretary of Treasury. That's probably what's going to happen. That's most likely what's going to happen in some way. Throw a gift to the can. Did anyone watch Justice Clarence on C-SPAN 3 today? No, I was busy. I'm curious what he said. I'll have to look it up. I'll get back to you on that. Wood USA, thank you for the 717 gold pills. Need more gold pill love. Support the boy stream. Thank you. No dirt slop. No dirt slop at all. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. What's going on here, No Dog? Take the military to the Fed, put up a fence, and have 24/7 guards. Number one, no one in and out. Lock and chain the doors. It's illegal. A theft of people. Well, with this new monstrosity that's going on, I wonder if it's really been taken over completely, and we're just made to catch up to see that very soon. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill. Comments, questions, concerns. You can help out Rumble Rants. You can help out MarshallKo-Fi.com/surfdog74. Let's play this. Observing consciousness. Again, one last hurdle, then the Fed is officially ours. Breaking. Trump says he will fire Fed chair. Stays beyond. This is a good point.
Does that mean we stop a probe of a building that I would have done for $25 million that's going to cost maybe $4 billion. Don't you think we have to find out what happened there? You know, we have other jobs like that, like the railroad in California, where it's, 25 times more than it was originally going to cost. And I think they're going to end up abandoning it. Okay, that's Gavin Newsom, or as I call him, Gavin Newsom.
Okay.
Who's so
I just wanted to see that part because that was the earlier part I missed on that. But that's really about the Fed. The Fed has now become obsolete. It's going to be absolved into the Treasury. And I think it's going to play out this way. I mean, who wants to stand on a position of saying, "Oh, it's okay. We're allowing this type of a grift and graft of a $4 billion construction of this monstrosity that no one signed off for. They're just doing it, and they're going to stick us with the bill." That's what it is. And then we're going to pay interest on that, like 3 times worth of what it was. I mean, come on. That's a scam. It's a scam itself. Are they just printing money out the back door? No, just give it to us. We'll take it. It's in part of the budget, and we'll do it. Yeah, no problem. The Treasury will take it. It will now control it. They'll have ownership over it, and you will no longer be allowed to have access to it. That's what's going to happen. It's the only way, all right, that you can move forward with this in some way. The removal of Powell is not about a firing. It's about replacing the failed and broken system of an enterprise that was printing money, charging us interest, and ripping us off for over 100 years. The scam is coming to an end, and that's what you're seeing, and it's fantastic.
And you know what, Brett? I'm surprised that this Fed building that they were trying to build or whatever, this whole little creep thing, I'm surprised there wasn't book deals and some artwork involved in all that. Because all they do is launder that money, baby.
Yep.
And those billions of dollars. Brett, where the fuck did all that money go?
Exactly.
I think the American people.
The fact that where's the accounting? When President Trump was like, "Where's the accounting on this? How did it go from 25 million to 2.3 million?" He said, "I could have did that," and he goes, "It was originally set at 2.3 billion." And he goes, "How did it even get there? You could have did it for 25 million." And he goes, "How did it go from that? You're laundering money. You're sending money out. You're paying people left and right. You're keeping the project longer than what it is. What are you doing underneath the project?" That's the other question. What is going on there? No one allowed to see it. What is it, like Fort Knox? Is that what you're saying? President Trump is showing you there's something, let's just say, that's about to take place and that is elaborately being set up for the reason. And so how can you defend Chairman Powell for allowing this monstrosity? No one likes the Federal Reserve. No one wants the Federal Reserve. And no one who's going to sit here and say, "You know what? Hey, give me that. I want $4 billion Federal Reserve. Charge me more interest. Please spare me." And the Fed, once and for all, Fed Powell is threatening to stay until 2028. I told you it's going to get hot and heavy. Trump says he is fired in May. The fight is over $4 billion fraud. Powell has been covering up since he blocked Bureau's prosecutors from the Fed building. Tillis is blocking the replacement. Boasberg blocked the probe Powell built. This is going to get ugly. Jerome Powell is leveraging Tom Tillis' confirmation blockade of Kevin Walsh to threaten the remaining Federal Reserve Chairman and board member of 2028. President Trump responded with a direct termination threat. Unless Powell resigns at his term in May, Powell physically barred DOJ prosecutors from investigating the $4 billion renovation fraud he is now fighting to keep buried. So basically, the only way this elaborate scheme happens, they're trying to leverage out using Tom Tillis on his way out the door to say, "Look, DOJ, just drop this, let him go. And you know what? He'll resign, and then we'll move on with the next thing." Really? You think that's going to happen? That's not going to happen at all. I'll be shocked if that happens.
No, it ain't going to happen. And this time, like you mentioned, we talked just a minute ago. This whole thing is going to come down to Congress. All these people, Congress, all up in the Senate, we are going to see a major flush, I believe, in my opinion. We are going to see a major flush of these people. They're going to start resigning. They're going to get kicked. I mean, it is going to be incredible because we're seeing so many come on more and more. And I know you've got more to touch on it. All right,
we're going to move on. We're going to the choking for the votes. This is about Swalwell. And I didn't get to cover it because I didn't do a show yesterday. But I just want to go over a couple of things. Steve Hilton says, Democrat machine covered up for Swalwell. We had heard of this all month. So the realization of understanding is that him running for California governor, this was going to come out. He was able to hide as a representative, but this was going to come out no matter what. And there was nothing they can do about it. And somehow, and in some way, that his leverage about this ended because of the fact is they realized they want another candidate, all right, to steal California with. So Tuesday, Alex Marlowe show, California gubernatorial candidate Steve Hilton talked about Eric Swalwell. Listen to this. We'll play it a little bit.
Low, $280, you can save 10 babies. $28 a month can save a baby. Obama podcast bros trying to see global system of economics and finance.
What the fuck is this? All right, never mind. It was supposed to play before. All right, so anyway, let me just read this. Hilton said, so we had heard of this months ago. And from various, sources, whether reporters and people connected to the Democrat machine in California. Alex Marlowe's show, hosted by Breitbart editor-in-chief, broadcast the show. And basically, they were saying to them, look, we've been covering this for months upon months upon months, all right? And no one was talking about it. It wasn't until the rape allegations and all these other things caught wind by Gloria Allred and other people that started to push this narrative out. And the argument is, a lot of people are suggesting is that what Nancy Pelosi and other people, which I'm going to show you very soon, is that they're claiming they had no idea about this at all. Let me show you Liberty Nation. They have a better overview of this. I want to show you a couple of things and stuff. I don't know why that video didn't play. So the California dream in Swalwell Falls, Hilton rises. Could California actually elect a Republican governor with a British accent? Think about that. He's got a British accent, and he could become California's governor. Do you understand that? You may think this is either a joke or fantasy, but here he goes. Republicans are in a good position to capture a governorship of California. The last time a governor had a foreign accent, who was that? Schwarzenegger, because he's Austrian. How is this even possible, you might say? The largest and most famously left-wing state in the nation. Well, the top Democrat vote-getter has now dropped out of the race, resigned from Congress, and in disgrace scenario that was already surprisingly favorable for the GOP is becoming more promising. California and Dems in disarray. I'm deeply sorry to my family and staff, blah, 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 constituents. I made my past. Eric Swalwell wrote on social media following the revelations of his sexual misconduct. I will fight for serious false allegations made against me. He went on to say, yeah, right. You're going to go to jail. However, I must take responsibility and ownership for the mistakes I did make by claiming falsehoods amid which he essentially admits are credible allegations. Swalwell was effectively following the footsteps of ex-President Bill Clinton, who famously set a new standard for the word false. Central premise for Clinton's parsing was it, for example, he accused of doing something at 4:15 p.m. when it actually happened at 4:10 p.m. One assumes that Swalwell's combative tone and a promising to fight the serious false allegations made against me will follow the methodology. The ugliness surrounding Swalwell was detailed in San Francisco Chronicle. It was so severe that almost every California Democrat who backed him immediately withdrew the endorsement. There you go. But even before Swalwell was outed, Golden State Democrats were in a fix. While 2 Republicans are running for governor, 9 Democrats, now 8 following Swalwell's withdrawal, threw their hats in the ring, slicing the substantial liberal vote into small pieces and providing the GOP with a pathway to the governor's mansion. That is, unless Democrat herd can be culled. Indeed, it is now evident that unless some of the Democrat candidates are persuaded to leave the race, California can realistically elect its first GOP governor since Schwarzenegger in 2006. The fact that GOP is highly competitive in this race for governor should not be interpreted as some indication that the state has moved rightward. It has not. Rather, simple mathematics of the state's jungle primary on June 2nd stand in the way. Democrats retaining the governorship for after 8 years of Gavin Newsom, the 2 Republican candidates from Fox News personality. Hilton of Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco are receiving a combined average of 30% in the latest polls, chronicled by the New York Times. With the Democrats splitting their vote in 9 ways, Hilton has finished on top of the pack, even 7 of the 10 polls by average of 4%. Meanwhile, with Swalwell gone, the Democrat machinery in Sacramento must urgently sort out the remaining contenders. But among the 8 remaining candidates, only a billionaire left is Tom Steyer. And Tom Steyer has a lot of connections to a lot of shady people, like who? A certain guy that was in the Obama administration that were in certain emails and email chains. And I'll leave it at that. Who flopped as presidential candidate in 2020 and has created 20% and a handoff of the polls? Not one, of the other hopefuls have yet to attract significant support. I'll leave it at that. I think the point is about what you need to understand is that the possibility of having the potential of a Republican governor is getting bigger and bigger, and it's growing. Now, the Democrats are going to eat their own on this in some way. They'll be fighting amongst each other, and they'll be pointing fingers to get them to drop out. So they're going to be lining up to find as much dirt on one another to force them into a position where they can move up on this. But that's what they set the stage for. The question is, will Steve Hilton be able to rise above this? And if he does rise higher than this, will Bianco drop out and endorse him? And would that matter and make a difference? Or would it be best for him to stay in order to ride the field even higher? Because splitting the ticket in this way hurts the Democrats even more.
Yeah, we talked about this the other night and the way they're screwed up electoral processes in California. But I think this is very good. We're heading in the right direction. So, and I'm okay with Steve Hilton. You know, the thing about California, the last guy, the Republican, was Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was the name. They knew his name. He's famous. He's a movie star. He's a TV guy, Hollywood. Hilton is the same way. So, you know, do I think he's perfect? Whatever. I will take this guy. I think this guy's good. And I hope that they get him.
Well, whatever opportunity you get to get a Republican in there.
We take California, Brett. Imagine that. Think about it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be best. And then you're going to have to fix all the criminality, the illegal voting and all that other stuff. But I think that's going to be fixed on its own. So just in, Democrat Senator Ruben Gallego denies the man sitting on the bed next to Eric Swalwell in a viral video is him. Reporter, was this you sitting next to him? Was this a great example of lies? Watch this.
Sitting next to someone. Was that you sitting next to him?
This is an example of the lies. No, I was not sitting next to him. I was not in the room. I was nowhere. I don't even know where it happened. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Chris Lasavita and a bunch of other right-wing political operatives are pushing this narrative that somehow I was in that room with Eric Swalwell, and that is an absolute lie.
Congressman, you have
and there are rumblings that that Ruben Gallego is going to resign because they got him. They got him. The question is, all right, if he's on the bed and Swalwell's over here doing whatever with that woman, who's taking the picture? Who's recording this? There you go. And I can guarantee you right now, whoever was doing that, that ain't good. They know who it is. They can prove it. Now watch this. Watch him act like this. I got more on this. This comes from 5 Star. This is funny.
Next to him, I was not in the room. I was nowhere. I don't even know where it happened. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Chris Lasavita and a bunch of other right-wing political operatives are pushing this narrative that somehow I was in that room with Eric Swalwell, and that is an
Olivia Hart needs to come forward regarding Ruben Gallego's claim. It definitely looks like Ruben in bed. However, it's unlikely he'll admit it, given everything he's done. That's the question. Will the woman admit to that? Will she come out and say that in some way? That's we don't know. And like I said, I'm not really sure how this is going to play out. But a lot of people think that he's going to resign because of the fact is he's too close to this. There are too many, let's just say, pictures of him and Eric Swalwell traipsing around with no shirts on and acting, let's just say, a little flamboyant. And I'll leave it at that. I don't want to freak anybody out. Former Ruben Gallego staffer says she rejected his sexual advance and reported to the chief of staff and was fired in retaliation. This is not going to be good. This is why he's going to have to resign. She expected fully expose Gallego very soon. Congress has whispered about this for years, and now it's exploding just as his buddy Swalwell implodes.
I don't know what's going on, but it's definitely a horrible situation for family. They're using that as a cover to attack me right now because they can't do it. They couldn't take back 2024 because they ran a horrible race. But now this is what they want to do. They just want to hurt me as much as they can. Presidents, everything else like that, I don't care. We're going to wait. And that's not even a thing right now. The most important thing is I want to protect my family. I want to protect my family's reputation. And this is why we're talking about right now.
Senator, you've gone on trips, on vacations, officially, unofficially. You've gone out, presumably, with the congressman. You've never even witnessed him, I don't know, engaging in an affair?
No.
Never.
What about
No.
How do you explain some of the photos that were online? I know you addressed one, but there is another one that she's without shirt. How do you address some photos?
We were on a beach.
Yeah,
I think you're on in the desert and on some camels.
It was a beach and a camel, but it's a beach. Yeah.
What were the
It was just very.
rumors?
It was flirty. That was flirty.
And that was
I don't understand. So you're on a beach with camels. Okay. All right.
I love it. Thank you, brother. That was beautiful, man.
Just said. Thank you so much. I want to clarify because in the beginning,
No, I know we'll go back there.
in the
Look
beginning,
how nervous the guy.
a few weeks ago, that's when you called.
Dude,
and then you said-
honestly, if you're studying I mean, this is textbook medical psychology 101. They should take pictures and reading the room of what this guy is about fucking lying. I mean, Darla, give to the can. I want all these freaks in Congress outed out for using our taxes to pay off their victims. Enough of these jackoffs and scissor lizards. That's a good one. The camera operator is said to be under 18 years old and all, dog? Really? Okay.
I've loved you a
Wow.
long time.
Oh, wow.
I've heard these rumors for years. So which one is it, Senator?
So I heard rumors of him being flirty
And that wasn't an issue enough for you to not trust him to watch your
What
kids?
the
and be close
fuck
with
is
him?
flirty?
because you hear this, and then when you're close to somebody and you know his wife, you see this, you see that relationship, you know that like it maybe just isn't true.
Have you asked him about it prior to this meeting?
I asked him about it a few weeks ago when it started coming up online. Yes.
I asked him about it. What fucking, I mean, honestly, what bullshit. I mean, I've never seen so much bullshit in one fucking state. That guy should have just basically not answered any questions. His best leg, I have no comment. You know what? It would have been better to say no comment completely. And I could say right now, the reality, underlying or not, that some individuals are not amenable to rehabilitation, to assume otherwise, is to substitute hope for evidence. This is exactly that. That comes from John Cardoza, I think of the American thinker, and I quoted in there. So I want to make sure that people that the recidivism, the reoffending, the reversion thing, these people are not redeemable, okay? These people are lifetime offenders, they're predators, and they're inside our halls of Congress and in our Senate, and you could see how creep they are when they're exposed. I mean, honestly, it is pretty scary. It's disgusting. It's ugly. Dude, he has 4 kids, I believe. All right, Swalwell, married. How is she going to tolerate that? These kids are going to grow up knowing his father banged a fucking Chinese spy. If he's executed or he goes to jail for rape and all, think about how that's going to be out. Your kids are going to have to grow up hearing about that. You have to change your last name. I would. Man, pretty sad in some way. What a piece of shit. You have a family of 4 and you're this big of a slime ball. How many people did you sexually assault and rape in your staff and then made them sign NDAs and then fire them? Where is the Me Too movement now? You notice how they're all quiet. Everybody's quiet, okay? No media coverage of this, barely anywhere. It's pretty sad in some way. You know, if it was a Republican, look out. But that's the point. Is there going to be a follow-up to this?
There's going to be a lot more coming out, Brett.
Absolutely. Well, more
There'll be
people
a
are going
lot
to
more
resign,
coming out.
which is good, and more people good.
Congressional fund.
Yeah.
Sexual fund. Remember that.
I know.
Don't
What is
forget
it?
about
What's the lifestyles that they have?
Sex
What's those
fund,
shows? What's those shows they have? Like the women of Rhode Island or the women of Miami? What's that? The Bachelor. What's those shows that they're like all over these cities? That's what it should be here.
Sex in the City and all that. You know?
It's unbelievable. So Ruben Gallego, you seriously gonna keep challenging us? Resign in disgrace and go fuck away, creep. This is George Santos. Wow, Kerry Lake was personally calling out Ruben Gallego for misdeeds with young female staffers back in 2024. Look at this.
Before they vote who this guy is. His ads leave out a whole lot.
Remember, her election was
despicable
stolen
treatment
too.
Of women.
Stolen twice.
His
from
ads
the
don't tell
governorship
you that
and from a senatorial run.
about the time that he harassed and threatened a 20-year-old female intern. And when she complained about it, she was fired. His ads don't tell you about the fact that his fellow Democrats down at the state legislature gave him the nickname the Troll because of how creepy and degrading he was with women.
Holy shit.
And his ads don't tell you about the time he told a Latina woman that because she was a Republican, she wasn't a real Latina. Can I hear it for our incredible conservative Latina women?
Yeah.
We got a house full,
Unlike Eric and Kirk.
including my daughter right down there. His ads don't tell you, frankly, about the most unforgivable act against a woman. When he walked out on his pregnant wife, when she was 9 months pregnant, days before she delivered their firstborn child, he served her papers and he ran off to sleep with a DC lobbyist. That's despicable. I can promise you, if Ruben Gallego will abandon his family to jump in bed with a lobbyist, he will abandon Arizona in favor of DC lobbyists every single vote. If his treatment of women isn't enough to keep him out of the U.S. Senate, then his voting record ought to be.
Wow. I guess that's the 2024 stolen senatorial election, ladies and gentlemen. Right there for everybody to see. Rides again. Let's continue on. I got a couple more.
Man, where did you get that, man? That was fucking awesome. Man.
Yeah, I found that one.
And that
This
really,
one,
man.
Yeah, I found
really
that one.
Says it all. It says it all.
Yeah, I was exchanging stuff with somebody too in a DM, and they sent me one of the things that because I was looking, because I was talking about something, and someone sent me something that I had that I wanted to see, but what they sent me in return. So here we go. Swalwell's resignation after sexual assault allegations. Some Republicans and others are saying that Democrats turned kind of a blind eye. Oh my God. They turned a blind eye. This is how they leverage people out. Extort, blackmail.
From the gubernatorial race in California.
Cajole people.
Did you tell him to resign?
Oh, I think that was his decision. I think it's a smart decision
The right
to
thing
make.
to do?
Yes, the right thing to do, yes. Not to subject members to have to take a vote on something like that, and not to subject your family. Probably 5 times in the history of our country has anybody been ejected from the Congress. Why should you be the 5th?
See, that's the problem. Right there, that's the problem. The fact that that's only been 5 times and you'd be the 6th, oh, it should be 600. It should be more than that. It should be you, lady.
If you have a challenge that you have to address, it's best addressed not as a candidate for governor and not as a member of Congress.
Some Republicans and others are saying
that's
that
how they
Democrats
think.
Turned kind of a blind eye, that they knew what he was up
No,
to
that's
or
not
what the
true. That
allegations
is
were.
absolutely positive.
Well, they're superior, Brett.
But it is absolutely not
You had
true.
no idea.
None whatsoever. None whatsoever. I had none whatsoever.
Eric's
Plausible deniability. Even if, let's just say for the sake of argument, because every word out of her mouth is a fucking lie. Let's say for the sake of argument, she didn't know, which I don't believe. All right. It's easier for just to say, I didn't know. But that's how, has people accused AIPAC of doing the same thing, leveraging people in such a manner to force their vote with everything Israel, being dual passport citizens or what have you. The Democrats do the same thing. When President Trump says all the time that they vote in unison, they all in lockstep, it's because they're all leveraged. It's because they're all blackmailed. And they're allowed to frolic, they're allowed to rape, they're allowed to touch, play grab ass, duck, duck, goose, hide the salami, do all these things. They're allowed to have all the little idiosyncratic little tropes, all the little fun and games. But when it comes time to vote, they got to make sure they vote party line all the time. Because if you are one of these people that are leveraged to the hilt, like she is, like Swalwell was, like Adam Schiff is, look out. They will release something on you and make you burn a little bit. They'll make you feel a little pain. They'll pinch you just a little bit hard enough so it bites, and then you realize the next time around, little shock treatment, you won't do the same thing again. That's exactly how this works. This is why Congress, the Senate, is completely rotten to its core. Almost 2/3, if not probably more. See, like 95% of the people inside our Congress. That's the House and the Senate. That's 500. I mean, how many people? We'll say 500 out of the 535. Let's give it that, if that. Are all what? Criminals, pedos, rapists, sexual deviants, perverts? How many? What percentage? But this is what you're seeing. And the only way to do this, then they decline to what? Release the information about all the money that's paid out to these victims inside that. So if you're a staffer working inside the House of the Senate and you got all these types of things going on, all the NDA hush money, hey, if I'm sexually assaulted, all I do is make a complaint to the chief of staff. And next thing they put it in there, they give me some money, and I get fired. There you go. Or I sue. In this case, this guy was what? He was a predator. He did this to several women, several young women, over and over again. It's bad. It's so bad. It's so ugly. But this is really going to break things open, I think. And this is a good thing that we're going to finally see once and for all. Here's another thing. I'm running on time. All right, because I'm almost out of this.
Congress is a mafia.
Hold on. Yeah, I know.
Congress is a mafia.
Yeah. Lauren Bobbitt says she's in the process of making details of the Anthony Weiner laptop public. Oh, my God. She claims the laptop is so disturbing that the FBI agents viewed it is no longer alive. So many FBI agents viewed it. You have 9 out of the 12 high-end New York Police Department detectives and royalty. They looked at it. They were suicided. Bober believes the update files and Epstein Weiner laptop are directly connected. I didn't know FBI agents viewed it or no real life. Or did she misspeak about this?
Was working on getting the Anthony Weiner laptop because I want to see the files that are on this. And while we still had Attorney General Pam Bondi, she had sent me over to the FBI, and there is no active search warrant on that computer. And so they are saying that I am unable to view it without a new search warrant. And there has to be new information. I think these Epstein files give us new information to look into the Anthony Weiner laptop.
Yeah.
I absolutely want to know what was on there, what was the secret folder that was titled Life Insurance, that had frazzle.rip, where people get the frazzle drip story from. I want to see this video.
Wow.
If it's totally fake,
Everything's
if it's not
coming
there,
back around.
I'll come out
Holy
and say
shit.
it. I want to see what people are talking about. These things don't just originate out of nowhere. So if it means issuing a subpoena from the Oversight Committee to get my hands on this laptop, then that's what I will do. If there's anything linking the Anthony Weiner laptop to the Epstein files, I will use that to get another search warrant. But I'm getting my hands on this laptop and looking to see what was in it. It's been said that FBI agents who went in and viewed this laptop, many of them are not alive anymore. And so, what is it with this laptop? Apparently, it's been said that many have committed suicide.
I think she misrepresented the characterization of FBI agents. We were told it's 9 out of the 12 or 13 law enforcement from NYPD. I didn't hear FBI agents at all. I heard it was high-ranking detectives, police brass inside there. Now, it may have been 1 or 2. I haven't heard anything about an FBI agent. Maybe this is new. So I'm not going to say that she's wrong. She would know, but I think it wasn't FBI agents, it was police officers. Yes, Sausage Launcher. I agree. I think she misspoke. But what if there was also FBI agents that viewed it that we weren't told that were also, let's just say, removed off this mortar coil, suicided? I don't know.
Story. The bigger story on that one is the fact that she's even talking about it.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Because the fact that you got a congressperson up there saying this stuff, that means we're getting close to something.
Benny's amazeballs look. I know, Trusty Turnup. I know. Benny's such a tool. He is such a tool. Well, he's such a troll.
He's good at it.
Well, no, that's who he is. He's a fucking another actor that plays the role, and he's aware of all this stuff. He's like all googly eyed, like, my God. He's like, wow. This is just amazing stuff. This is new relevant information. Oh my God, tell me some more so I can be the guy that puts this out. No, you're the guy that rips off other people and then puts shit out there and claims it's yours. That's what you do, motherfucker. And that's what he's gonna do. Look at this new information I found. Oh my God, holy amazeballs.
Now he's got a spot on Fox.
Come on, that's so funny.
He got his spot on Fox News, though, Brett. Come on, man.
Oh man. No, dog,
Gotta
like
clap
gay
like
sex
the
in the
seals,
Senate.
Brett.
Jesus.
Clap like the seals.
I know. Here we go. Simple explanation of what Pizzagate is, and I'll leave you with this. If people are not aware of it, a simple explanation of Pizzagate. This is all coming back around. So if you forgot it, let's play this a little bit. Also, Liz also proved that one of the long time ago that she was called out and labeled a conspiracy crazy. Now it turned out, thankfully, she's been brought to light. Let's play this, and you can watch it.
Let's begin by going over some background, how it started. John Podesta clicked on a phishing scam email sent to him by hackers and unwittingly handed over his password to them. The hackers then handed over Podesta's emails to WikiLeaks, and they verified their authenticity before releasing them in the run-up to the 2016 US election. Who is John Podesta? John Podesta was Hillary Clinton's head of campaign during this 2016 election. He also worked closely with President Barack Obama and President Bill Clinton during their times in office. His brother, Tony Podesta, who was also involved in this scandal, was recently listed as one of Washington, D.C.'s most powerful people by GQ magazine. And here you see John Podesta with Hillary Clinton, with the Pope, with Bill Clinton, and with Obama. He's clearly someone who has a lot of influence in the political world. What happened next? Volunteers on Twitter, Reddit, and 4chan sifted through emails and uncovered some emails that looked suspicious. First signs of the suspicious activity were emails that appeared to contain some kind of code relating to pizza and other food items. Things blew up when the infamous spirit cooking email from Marina Abramovich to Tony Podesta was uncovered. I'll speak more about that later. Let's take a look at the code in the emails. The code appears to be hot dog equals boy, pizza equals girl, cheese equals little girl, pasta equals little boy, ice cream equals male prostitute, walnuts or nuts equals person of color, map equals semen, and source equals orgy. Here's a quote from one of the emails. The realtor found a handkerchief. I think it has a map that seems pizza related. So this is one of the very strange emails that appears to be coded and which first got us curious about what on earth they were talking about. And it's from Susan Sandler to John Podesta. And you can see the WikiLeaks email number at the bottom there, so you can go and look it up if you want. Do you think I'll do better playing dominoes on cheese than on pasta? Another email sent from someone from the Sandler Foundation to John Podesta in the WikiLeaks email 50332. So again, this appears to be some kind of code. I mean, would you ever say anything like this to anyone you know? Do you think I'll do better playing dominoes on cheese than on pasta? And it appears that the word dominoes perhaps means something like BDSM that involves domination. That's what we're speculating. So again, cheese means little girl and pasta means little boy. Another email, Obama spent about $65,000 flying in pizza/dogs from Chicago for a private party at the White House. When you start thinking about this doesn't make any sense at all. Who on earth would fly in pizza and hot dogs from another state? Who on earth would spend $65,000 on pizza and hot dogs? And why on earth would Obama be feeding his guests pizza and hot dogs? Wouldn't they have some kind of way fancier food that can be prepared by chefs and things there? And apparently they don't import food into the White House anyway because it's a security risk. All the food is prepared on site. So again, it does appear to be code words. Why would this even be a topic of interest in email? And if you do a search and look this email up, you'll also find that the response seemed to imply prostitution. So it does appear that these are code words for some kind of prostitution. And if we look at the code words, pizza equals girls and hot dogs equals boys. I will be sacrificing a chicken in the backyard to Moloch. Cheryl Mills emailed this to Hillary Clinton. So what's a chicken code word for? Well, in gay slang, chicken is code word for an underage boy, and Moloch is the god associated with child sacrifice. So go figure, I will be sacrificing a chicken in the backyard to Moloch. These are the kind of weird emails that first got us asking questions when we were digging through WikiLeaks. Interestingly enough, the founder of Twitter, called Jack, also seems to use similar codes and also talk about Satanism. He wrote, "Making the good pastor, reading through some amazing parts of the satanic verses. The golden threads begin to intertwine." I mean, what does this mean? Is he literally just telling us that he's making pasta while reading satanic verses? Or is this some kind of inside joke or coded message that he's sending out? He sent this in 2006. And remember again, pasta is code for little boy. So, talking about Satanism, this brings us to Marina Abramovich's invitation that she sent to Tony Podesta. So who is Marina Abramovich? She calls herself a performance artist. She's close to many celebrities and politicians. Ex-Satanists and occult experts have stated that her work is clearly inspired by Luciferian worship and Aleister Crowley, a famous Satanist's work. Her spirit cooking recipes involve consuming concoctions of bodily fluids. In one of her recipes, she instructs women to put a live fish inside their vagina overnight to prepare it for use in a love potion. This is the woman who invited Tony Podesta and John Podesta and their wives to her house to take part in spirit cooking via email. I've done an entire video on this if you'd like to watch it.
All right, this video is 21 minutes. I'm done with this. I dropped them in each of the chats, YouTube, Rumble, and I dropped it twice on Pilt, so you guys can go watch it. The last 13 minutes, it's very hard to watch. I'll stop it there. It gets a lot more deep, it gets more sinister, a little more gross, and I think my level of watching this, because I spent a good part of watching today, I almost wanted to fucking vomit and poke my eye out, thinking like we got some serious problems in this fucking country. We got people that are in the House and the Senate that are doing this shit, that are fucking much more devious, much more ominous, okay? And people, and like she said, why would you want to ship $65,000 worth of hot dogs and pizza to the White House? Well, it's the same people that want to use your own money, $4 billion, and then charge you interest to build a fucking mausoleum called the Federal Reserve. Because these people are soulless. They don't give a fuck about you and I. They care about themselves and about their institution, about their scam. It all goes back to this in some way, about money laundering, child trafficking, sacrifice, all the stuff. All it reaches a level. When you get to the end of this, honestly, you're going to need a drink. Well, that's our show for tonight. Any parting words, Marshall? We will return on Friday.
Yeah, it all comes back to this.
Yeah.
Everything comes back to this whole satanic cabal.
Yeah.
Because that's what drives, that's the main driver of the whole, like we talk about the British Empire and all that controlling. The force behind it is what you just showed, Brett.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everybody should watch. I've seen that video. Everybody should watch it.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good. Go and watch it. And then you'll get a better understanding where things are. Well, that's our show for tonight. We will return on Friday. I want you to have a great evening. Don't get so caught up in all this stuff because it's hard to digest. Think about how the normies and NPCs and a lot of people that are not, like, let's just say, hip to the idea of what these things are that we knew long time ago that is now coming back full circle, that's going to basically smack them in the face like a pie hitting fucking the Grand Wizard Fauci or with Bill Gates. You know, this is the reality that we're facing, because this, with the further you think about all this other stuff that we're talking about, the deep dark that's hidden, this will be exposed. It has to be exposed. People have to see how horrific it is in order for people to really get behind real change, and change that has to happen once and for all. Good night. God bless. Be well. Take care. Love each other. Ciao, Bella.
All right.